Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nico and this is episode 11 of Road to Masters. And you might feel me a bit happier than usual, a bit more motivated, and that's because finally we are player 2 in one game, and this is hopefully gonna help us, at least in the early game. It's usually the best spot, to be honest, to be, so let's hope we can get the most out of it. So, now we are in Platinum rank. We finally got out of that bloody golden rank, and we hope to continue on that good track to finally get to Masters before the end of the season. What do we have here? Some nice faction access. I mean, just Fremen, but still good to take. Peter de Vries, which we like as well, definitely. And the decks, yeah. Troop transport, if we are the first one to be able to monopolize. The interstellar shipping could make sense, otherwise not quite sure. I think, to be fair, we can try... Maybe Ilban could make sense, maybe Yuna. Let's try Yuna. I think I'd like to try playing her again. She's not easy, to be fair. For me at least, she's quite complex, especially with that Signet ability, so Solari-hungry. But it is a bit of a different game when playing her, and I'd like to try be as competitive as possible with her. Let's see what player 1 does, and let's hope we have a good first hand, because that obviously is also as important as the position, or even more important, should I say, as the position of the player in that first round. So the first conflict is not the best, so we won't mind not necessarily participating there. Not great to have both faction access cards here, because that means we most likely won't be able to have an early interstellar shipping. But let's see. I would kind of hope it doesn't go to smuggling, which is great for us because, I mean, with our passive ability as well, we gain more Solari. We get to do it again next round, and that will be a Swordmaster round 2, and which is equally good or even better, probably, than having the early interstellar shipping unlocked. So I think that will be the play for us. Oh, we get Bankers. That can also be potentially a very interesting card to have, so let's see if we will get there or not. Our second play will most likely be seek allies to keep 3 persuasion, try to still target that guild bankers if Helena is not taking it first. Seek allies, now the question is where do we play it? So wealth would give us 3 Solari, we'd be at 5, and next round we would get 2 out of this, so 7, and 6 out of this, so 13. I was just checking if it would be realistic to try and have both the Signet ability and the Swordmaster, but it does not seem like this, so maybe wealth is not our priority. Maybe we could go to Still Suits if it's open. Maybe we still want to prioritize wealth, trying just to grab as many Solari as possible, even if it doesn't mean necessarily triggering the first signet effect we have, but it could still make sense to just, yeah, get most of it. Or a water, we start without water, so obviously it's also quite precious for us. Potentially unlocking Siege Tower not too long from now. Yeah, I think this is maybe a more versatile play. Now, do we deploy units? There is still Menmon and Baron playing. And yeah, given what has already been deployed, I don't really want to fight for one spice, to be fair. I'd prefer very much keeping those troops for a level 2 conflict. So next round for us is pretty set already. We will play either Signet, probably rather Dune, the desert planet, given we won't be able to trigger the ability anyway. So Dune to Smuggling, Dagger to Swordmaster, and the third one will most likely go to a city, maybe to engage in the conflict if by then it makes sense. I like to anticipate as much as possible, given the limited time as well you get to play your turns. It's good to already have a plan in mind, like what will I do, what kind of scenario are there, and then obviously being able to change that plan is an important skill to have, because plans should be changing, given other players are also typically acting on what they see, and that's exactly what Helena did, giving up on Peter de Vries to take a guild bankers. Or did she not have enough? Ah, she didn't have enough persuasion anyways, so Peter de Vries was not an option. But I think here for us, it's gonna be a Spice Hunter. Just for the faction access, it's usually precious. So yeah, let's just take it, and no Dr. Yue assassination mission, not really interested by that. I think that's also a very important advice, you probably already know it, but basically don't buy a card just for the sake of it, thinking, it might at some point have a synergy with my deck and so on, because I mean, you only have so many turns, right, and rounds overall, so don't dilute your deck with something you don't deem being useful for your play and your strategies. And obviously adapt as well, because a Sayadina, for instance, can be very powerful if you use it right, collecting that water, using it like for a victory point or two. It can be a game changer, and adapting makes sense for sure. A guild bank raid. Obviously useful for us given our Solari hunger, but it wouldn't be earned on our turn anyway, so we wouldn't get that little bonus that Yuna gets. So that's probably important to just remember. So Menman Agent 2 will definitely go to interstellar shipping, can already tell. Baron scheming for his intrigue cards. And committing early. We might actually play Signet Ring if we want to potentially engage with the Reconnaissance afterwards, but there is only one spot actually where we could go, and it might be taken by then, so no, I think Dagger is a better play. keeping that flexibility to also potentially go into a spy space. It is a Freeman, so Sayadina could work well with it. And obviously that victory point potential, those faction accesses, very precious. So I think if we can target it... Oh, my bad, we're first player indeed, but we will be last to reveal given we have still our third agent to play. So it will most likely not be ours anyways. Unless we want to early reveal, but I am not sure this would be a right play right now. Took a negotiator, so nothing there of interest to Baron. I mean, obviously quite expensive, so nothing affordable for him. So no early reveal unless we want that Freeman camp, but I don't think it's worth it. So I think it will be signaturing. I don't think we want the spies. We probably can go for Arakeen. The only thing is it mixes our deck as is. Which we can work with, to be honest. It's not like we're missing on much. We only have our basic cards here instead, except signaturing, but not even sure by then we will have enough Solari for the ability. So I think we should draw here, commit to the conflict, because we want Solari. Let's see if that's a dagger. We can work with that. Can potentially even claim first spot. Is it worth it? Sending in 3 troops for that? I think it is. I think we can try it. They have intrigue cards, so they might just overtake us with that, but if that's the cost to make them reveal those cards for maybe not the most important conflict, I think I take it. And let's hope they reveal and acquire some of those cards. Let's not insult them, but none of them are really of interest to me, and I'd prefer having maybe something more valuable to acquire than just Araki's liaison. Seems Menmon agreed with us. With his 1 persuasion, he didn't buy anything. Baron just buys the liaison. So it seems that most our opponents follow the same principle as us, being to not buy too many cards that you don't really see a use for. Ah, Helena seems to have found some interest in one of those. Unfortunately, we cannot take that, although, to be fair, we don't have any Bene Gesserit yet anyway, so it's just about that reveal effect that could be useful. So, not a big loss for us. But I think here, yeah, it will have to be some persuasion from a liaison. Freighter fleet, it is not the worst, but to me it's just a bit of an improved Dune the Desert Planet, so if you get to a point where you trashed already so many of your base cards, then for sure it can make sense to just have a bit more of that triangle access with on top of it a reveal effect. But other than that, or if you really focus that typically as a Menmon maybe would have been making sense, because he's got that access here, he seemingly can spam that track for a bit more, so maybe having one more of those um, space track move, or however you call them, could make sense. But not for me, at least not now. So that conflict is quite interesting. I like an early control of Carthage or Imperial Basin being a bit the two favorite of those three, because I mean, obviously the victory point is most important, but that control is a nice little added bonus where you get a Solari each time someone gets there, obviously even if you go there yourself. So, and as Yuna, obviously it's something I wouldn't say no to. So maybe we do go typically to Hardy Warriors. But probably not as first agent, to be fair, because I still want to see what others are doing. Although none of them have really like garrisons, we have among the biggest ones, ironically. So we could commit Hardy Warriors, sending in. They all only have one agent left, so I think it could be the play. I want to play the Spice Hunter to keep diplomacy for a potential. Well, actually, it's only about secrets then, given I don't have spies. So would it maybe actually make sense to rather use diplomacy? And Spice Hunter can also be used potentially to grab some spice here. Yeah, let's do that. Although that cost me the water, so then with Dune and Spice Hunter I can only go to Imperial Basin and Smuggling. And I think Smuggling, even Imperial Basin, are more attractive than Secret. So let's actually rather go with the Spice Hunter. And High Council could make sense early as well, so maybe the Liaison could be used for that. Anyways, let's commit. Make it clear we are interested in that. See what Menmon is doing with his two committed troops. He kept international shipping for himself as a second agent, and that's very smart because that was not contested as of that moment, given Baron only got his second level here after Menmon's turn, so it makes total sense to first go for contested spots and then take what you know you can take. A bit of healthy Solari for us, so that allows us to have just enough for our signet ring. Did he buy the shuttle fleet? It seems so, because he seems to have gained a lot of influence. Okay, yes. Most likely Helena will be able to get her Swordmaster right now. So maybe we might not want to do the High Council play, because we would prevent ourselves from using the Solari for our signet ability. Unless we actually go to Smuggling right now. Yeah, even then we would need another. I think we will still go to Smuggling first. Gives us a bit of Solari, gives us again a bit of progress here. And let's see what we do with our last agent. Oh, that's one I wouldn't mind buying, to be fair, but we're not next in line, and most likely Baron will take it for himself. Oh, surprisingly not. Maybe a trashing play in mind? He's got 8 cards in his deck, so indeed it will stay in his discard for a round, so in that case I can understand the play. But if, let's say, he had only 4 cards in his deck, it would mean that assassination mission he just bought would enter his deck directly next round, and that to me wouldn't really make sense, because you kind of need to draw it once and then be able to trash it afterwards, which is a bit of a waste, I think, in that case. Deck negotiation for Helena. Given Menman has no intrigue card here, we can safely say we should be winning that. Oh, a Chomarchy, which is something I appreciate. So let's see, maybe a Dreadnought? Cost us 3, we have 6 then left. We will need 7 for the signet ring. We should be getting the control of Carthag. Someone might recall here. Oh, that's me actually, so no, I'm green. So unlikely that someone recalls there to give me 1 extra Solari. Maybe just a diplomacy instead. Although I'd really like, to be honest, an early Dreadnought is something I appreciate. Diplomacy, getting a water, getting closer to an alliance could also be a play, to be fair. I think we will do that. Also leaves us with a bit more persuasion, just in case something else comes up, or that gene manipulation is taken and we have to maybe go for a Freeman camp instead. Let's see what Helena is taking. Interesting, so she leaves us that gene manipulation card. I'm quite happy about it. Typically that's a misplay. She should first buy that card if she wanted to, because it might have revealed another card costing 2, which would be much more interesting, let's say in the shadows or something like that, and then obviously buying first a liaison would have priced her out of that. So that's not the right order in buying the cards. Web of Power. I mean, would be a nice card, don't get me wrong, but we wouldn't get most out of it, given we have like kinda 0 influence in 2 of those other factions that it needs. But the reveal effect obviously is still appreciated. So we win that conflict. Let's see what we can do now. This is obviously attractive, but I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking like that. Dreadnought is something I'd still like to do, but that would leave me with 6 Solari, and I need 7 for signet ring. So either Carthag or smuggling can help with that as well. So I think unfortunately Imperial Basin might not be my priority. Yeah, so he had to play with an intrigue card to trash it before getting it in his deck. So it makes total sense, especially given it gives him a Swordmaster before Menman. And that's a very smart play, to be fair. So anyways, yeah, Imperial Basin is taken. We want some Solari. I think first would be to take it here, because we don't need it immediately, the extra Solari, but we will definitely want it, and why not at the same time replenishing a bit our garrison and getting an extra influence out of it, given we're quite low on influence right now. We have a grand total of 3, while Menmon, for instance, has 1, 5. Baron, which usually is quite strong with that, obviously with his Master Stroke, is at 1, 5 as well. Helena at 2. So we're not the worst there, but the goal is obviously to rather be among the best ones. So we're not quite there. Committing 1 troop blindly like this, everyone else still having agents, not having any garrison to follow through potentially for next round, or I don't think it's very safe play. It can still work, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit of a gamble from Baron there. And I will play, I think, signaturing to Dreadnought, keeping Reconnaissance for one of the cities, ideally Carthage, where we also earn another Solari on top of the one. Should we actually do... No, first we want Dreadnought to be able to deploy the Dreadnought during our third agent play. So let me do it with the signaturing then. To keep the daggers, basically. Have a bit more power here to hopefully snatch that win. Let's get a Dreadnought out. I think here, knowing, I mean, this could allow us to get an alliance, but we have the Spice Hunter allowing us to go there, and otherwise we only have the diplomacy for all others. So I think we need to start thinking about the other factions on the side. And right now, Spacing Guild obviously is the most interesting, given it would give us or bring us closer to an interstellar shipping at some point. Menmon getting some extra swords out of that deck purchase, but not quite yet, given no one is on the High Council. What does Helena again have as deck disposal facility? Oh, typically in the shadows. That came quickly. Who? Menmon bought it, right? Ah no, Baron acquired Web of Power. Okay. Menmon didn't acquire... Ah, he didn't reveal yet. My bad. Sorry, I got confused by the fact he didn't have any agent left, but obviously he just sent it to tech negotiation. What is our last card here? A convincing argument. Thinking of maybe going rather to Arakin to get that convincing argument out of the way, still allowing us to maybe buy Arrakis Liaison. Obviously in the shadows would be great, but I would expect Menmon or Helena to take it before me anyways. So no, I think we have more value in getting 2 Solari out of that plus an intrigue card on top of it. And so be it if we have to have a convincing argument in our hand next round. Seems I got a different option given to me by Helena. So now the question is, do we want water or drawing a card? I think drawing a card makes most sense, because then we get more chance to get one of those good cards we have. Let's draw it. Also then we can get a liaison, a bit more persuasion in the deck. Get something out of that reveal turn is probably not the worst thing. Do we commit the Dreadnought? That means we won't have it next round if we win, which we probably will with those two daggers, although Helena has two intrigue cards, Baron has one, so it's not a given. But I wouldn't expect them to fight very hard for this conflict. And to be honest, the second place I wouldn't mind either. So that's a liaison for us. Weirding Way is an interesting card, to be honest. It's quite an useful one potentially with that agent effect. Can make you have a double turn. Oh, so that's a good fight from Helena. She kind of wants it, so she will have it. But to be honest, one Dreadnought, getting this value out of it, getting our Dreadnought back for this round, is not making me unhappy. A war chest, as if we didn't have enough incentive to pile up our Solari, but this time it means we wouldn't be using it, so let's see if we get there. We might need to use it at some point for a conflict, but it's a good card to have in hand for sure. Very versatile. We won't complain about it. So what are we doing? No faction access again, so we are a bit trapped there. But I think smuggling makes sense for us. Just recall it, get a few troops, get a bit of Solari, and get that second influence with the Spacing Guild. So that we most likely will never have to go, at least not to full space, and if we go to Highliner, it's not about influence, it's just about winning a conflict, so I think it makes sense. Also unlocking basically interstellar shipping for our round. I mean the round where we will be first, basically, the next one. I think it's not a bad idea. Let us do just that. And let's pile up those Solari, baby. Let's see if he decides to go buy a deck, which I would bet he will. Oh, he seems to have even changed his mind. Maybe just on the card he would be using to go there, because I would still assume him exactly to go to shipping. So he buys a deck. Is it Chomerky? Is it troop transports? Troop transports. I don't mind, to be fair. I was eyeing rather Chomerky at some point, hopefully. Maybe even next round if we get that first place. And then we would have an interstellar shipping lined up for ourselves. This could work. but Menmon obviously is also lining up nicely for some rewards in this conflict. Oh, and that's another one that is seemingly hungry for this combat. Yeah, I guess that's probably quite clear. I don't think we want to commit that much for this kind of reward. We might just send in the Dreadnought, obviously, for a small reward, a free one. But let's see. So I'd like to do something about the Landsraad here, maybe even a second Dreadnought already, which would put us in a very nice position, but I like going there when I can by a tech, and right now it's not an option. So maybe it's rather a High Council? I think we should be doing that. I think it makes sense to have it sorted. Let's still try to maybe keep a bit of Solari for our next signet ring, and obviously let's not forget about this with the goal of hopefully keeping it as an endgame card, although if we will need it as a combat card we won't hesitate, but ideally an endgame victory point is not something we would want to reject, obviously. And Baron doing exactly the kind of play I would have loved doing, but not having enough spice for it hurts. So he bought Chomarchy. Now we have Memo Corders here, which is also not a bad one to be honest, to be able to pick up. But I don't think it's a priority for us right now, and I thought so. It would be jumped on quite quickly. Oh, she actually cannot, true. But she's actually at least blocking us from doing so, so we don't really have even like the idea of doing it. But I don't think we would have anyways. Now the question is, I think I will go to Carthage anyways to get also a bit of Solari out of it, get a nice little intrigue card. Now do we go with one persuasion or with trashing something and losing 2 persuasion instead? And I think you already know the answer, given how much I love trashing cards. And especially I see that dagger here that I cannot wait to get rid of. This is not the worst for us. Prevents us or allows us to not having to go there necessarily too often, which we don't really. I mean, yeah, for some extra Solari we might still want to do it at some point, but at least it gives us the option to just having to go once for that victory point. Let us just send the Dreadnought for free and see if it brings us any value. Helena still being at 1 victory point is actually quite scary. Although, I mean, she has 3 factions where she's like almost there, so it's half a point technically if you count it that way. So she would be 1.5 more, but still, like, I mean, actually, right now she's at 1, and that is a fact. How did Baron get his points? Oh, a skirmisher, and otherwise the 3 influence track progresses. An alliance for Menmon, and for us it's 2 influence track and also a conflict point. Those early conflict points are often underestimated, to be honest, because in the end it's quite an easy one to get if you commit to the conflict. and it's one that cannot be taken away from you, and it's one on top of those standard ones that everyone can get. So it is uh, to the same extent as the Spice with Slow. Basically, it's one of those points where you work for it, but once you have it, it's yours and no one else can have it, and it's a unique point. Basically, not contested and not like replicable by other players, like the 2-level influence here, for instance. All of that to say, Baron and me have one of those points, and those are usually making the difference at the end as well. Oh, she gave us one more Solari, which we don't mind at all. So let us reveal here. Now, do we want that weirding way? I think we could make use of it. I just don't like the persuasion, but I still think it can be fun and useful power play. Would have been better, but too late. Also 0 dagger, so maybe he will play a conflict card to just enter the rewards, or he just wanted to prevent us from having anything. And here definitely won't use this. Doesn't have much value out of it. Paying 2 spice, 2 Solari, sorry, burning an endgame card to just get this is absolutely not gonna happen. So it's a good play from Baron, preventing us from having it. And it's also a free play for him, given it's only his Dreadnought in there as well, so we had the same idea, basically. So next round, what will happen next round? We have a few cards we wouldn't mind picking up. Potentially locking in that Fremen alliance, using the signaturing for sure would be a nice thing. And interstellar shipping will probably be part of our plans, given we are first player. Just to get up here, getting to trigger it one last time for round 7 probably, getting those troops in, probably extra Solari by then, let's see. But it is for sure something that can be appreciated. Some extra spice from Enman. He's sitting on quite some pile there. We have a nice garrison, to be honest. This is something we like having for sure. Maybe not to burn it now, although that conflict has a nice reward, but it's usually overcommitted by everyone because it's a popular one. So let's maybe keep calm for now. Let us play... I think Spice Hunter will be played anyways, probably to one of those Freeman spaces to get the alliance. Diplomacy I'd like to play as well, just to get a bit of influence, maybe with Bene Gesserit, maybe with the Emperor. So let's play the signaturing for a start. Up there. So let's build a bit our influence with the Bene Gesserit. Because with the Emperor we have already one secret here. And we want to anyways go to the Freeman with Spice Hunter most likely, so we will get that alliance normally. The more traditional way, let's say. So now we are 3 players with a Dreadnought, and that's the Memo Corridor gone. Let's keep that in mind, because it can be a victory point for him if he reaches 3 influence everywhere, which as it stands looks a bit unlikely. And that's a steal. Now, given we cannot really... I mean, we could go to selective breeding. Maybe actually it could be the play. Can we hope for a Spice Must Flow? It could actually be a good idea for us. And I think I'll do that first, because we still have the 2 Freeman spaces open. It will give me a bit more information as to who commits in the conflict and how much, to know if we just go with the Dreadnought or maybe a bit of extra to still try and target that first spot. I think it can make sense, but basically playing those 2 cards puts me at 5 persuasion, so I kinda need to draw those 2. If the dagger is in there, I don't have a Spice Must Flow. Not sure it's worth gambling, but why not? In the end, it brings that point in, still allows me to trash a card, so it's not all lost. If I don't draw the good cards, it's at least some value brought out of it as well. So we will try it. And it actually also brings 2 of those cards out of the way. Wait, what do I want to discard here? Actually, Reconnaissance, I think. Oh, and that is fantastic. For all those bad draws we had in that Road to Masters series, this is a good one. So that's gonna put us in quite a good position, to be fair. Having a point to hopefully this alliance by our last agent. A Spice Must Flow gives us another 2 VP. Not too bad. So we should have 1 Freeman spot open for us, which is good. Now, which one would we want to go to? Depends a bit on how strongly we want to go in the conflict, but I don't think we want to push it too much, because it doesn't have much value for us being first here, to be fair. We would obviously get that victory point thanks to our intrigue card and this without even going there, but going there is actually probably going to be helpful for us just to get a bit of extra Solari. Oh, well, seems Helena made the decision for us, and we will have to go to Hardy Warriors if we want that alliance right now. And I think we do, because next round it's not given what we will have. It's very much up in the air, and we don't have that many faction accesses, being only Diplomacy and Spy Center, so yes, here it's absolutely gonna be Hardy warriors for us. But what are we... I mean, having that kind of garrison is good, but it's almost a bit too much. But I think, anyways, we don't really want to win the conflict, because then our dreadnought is gone for the first crucial conflict, level 3. So let's just get involved slightly. What does Menmon get out of this conflict? Actually, he's got the memo quarter, so it will or should be of use to him. He's missing 5 influence for it, so it's still far away. 3 if he chooses his... I mean, if he wins this conflict and chooses the way he should. But he seems to, at least right now, have favored the alliance here, which makes sense. It's a certain point for him, or at least the point he can acquire right now, versus a memo corridor which he will still need to work for regardless. He's got 4 tech, we've got none of them. Tiebreaker for Baron hopefully won't come into play, at least not against us. Disposable facility. Then again, he's got 4 intrigue cards, so that could be something we'd like to target to a certain extent. He's again messing with us in the same way, that dreadnought in there for free, which is totally understandable. And that's now another point for Helena. She was at 1 last round, right? Now Sayadina, 2 influence track progresses, it can go quickly. So for us as well, it can go quickly, because we also won a couple of points this round. Baron will probably be using an intrigue card during the combat, I would expect, to get back down to a more acceptable threshold. And that's his 7th point. But he basically has all influence track progress points, and we don't. So we have kind of an easier point here to gain over him. But obviously that doesn't mean anything. A victory point is a victory point. It's just to keep track a bit of how easily he can acquire a next point. And given he's not on the High Council neither, we might have a bit of an edge over him, considering he still has the Chomerky. So he has, like, all else being equal, he wins. So we need to keep that in mind as well when trying to fight for the best possible outcome. Indeed, Baron playing a card to make sure he gets back to 3 and to enter the rewards, and we won't be gaining anything out of it, but it's fine. We kinda decided to do so, committing just our dreadnought to hope for a 2nd or 3rd spot. Not happening, not a big deal. We have a huge garrison for those conflicts that matter, and we now need to make use of it. Hopefully it is a conflict that interests us. So indeed, Menmon probably gaining 1 here as well. Exactly to get closer to his memo quarter point, He's still quite far, to be fair, but gets him that much closer for sure. And that is not really the conflict we would be hoping for, and those are definitely not the cards we would be hoping for. This is a horrible hand, to be honest. Smuggling could be an option for us, just getting a lot of Solari out of it, getting that that influence somewhere. Because we won't be able to commit that. I mean, or yeah, Imperial Basin gives us 3 spies, gives us the chance of sending in a few more troops. Arrakis Liaison, maybe to Arakin to draw a card. Hopefully something a bit better than what we have right now. Then again, what can we do with it? We can come and threaten one of those alliances that Menman has, or potentially even the one that Baron has to a certain extent, given we have favorite subject here. It won't be that easy. Menta was one of the options I was considering, to just draw a card and get the dagger out of the way, but it's not happening. What do we have here? Detonation device is interesting. I'm not exactly sure what I should prioritize between maybe drawing a card with Arrakis Liaison or Dune to smuggling, and kinda give up on that conflict, which is anyways not that valuable, but let's first go here, I think. A Spice Hunter can help a bit more to lock in that alliance, because now it's kinda under threat potentially. And let's send in what we have. Still, I mean, it's good for us to get it, but it's also better for us, for no one else to have it. Hayliner from Menmon probably means he's very willing to have it. He's also got that restricted ordnance active now, thanks to his High Council. And for him it has most value, because it would bring him to those 3 persuasion influence almost everywhere, just missing one step with the Fremen. But I'm less scared by him than I would be by Baron, because Baron getting another point from me or from Menmon, given his Chomerky as well, he's the most serious competitor here, I would say, or the most threatening one, I should say. Then again, if Menmon has a plans within plans as an endgame card on top of his Memo Corder, that's obviously one of the greatest synergies you can have, and the greatest incentive of having those 3 influence everywhere, because that would give him 3 victory points at the endgame, which obviously we don't wish him, or at least we don't wish ourselves. Baron having 7 spies is not ideal, because that means he's well in a capacity to get a Hayliner one of those next few rounds where we would be committing a bit more potentially, and if he gets 2 victory points out of a conflict, well, then it's probably game over. So we will need our next hand to be better than the one we had now, but I think it can be, given all the city accesses here, diplomacy with also a bit of flexibility there. I think we can hope for something a bit better. I think now our play would be Dune to smuggling, just get that final step done and not think about the shipping track anymore. Because next rounds we want to focus on combat bases fully. So in that same logic, we will probably take our influence here with favorite subject. That will be the point here that we want, and we won't need to think about that neither, and we can focus on defending our alliance here. 12 Solari is also quite good. We have the war chest activated, although we would ideally and probably still want to do one more signet ring. So that means we're missing 5 Solari ideally. And that's Hardy Warriors. That's not great. He's probably targeting our alliance here. Yeah, I mean, now, no, he probably would still, yeah, I mean, in the end, he doesn't have the endgame card, so this would be 1 point for him, a memo quarter point, and getting that alliance is 1 point for him, but 1 less for me, so obviously getting the alliance is much better for him. So I just hope that Elena won't be going to Stillsuit so that we can go there with our Spice Hunter and make sure we defend it. Because, I mean, Menmon will certainly win that conflict and get that double bump. And if we can point him towards rather using it over there for certainty and showing him that we are willing to keep that alliance, maybe that will help us for sure. Okay, that's good. And that's 1 Solari for us as well. Ah, no, my bad. I thought it was Kartag. Not ideal. I mean, wouldn't any of them want an intrigue card? It's like a bit of Solari for me. Would have been great. So no need to think too much. Spice Hunter to Fremen, to Stillsuit. Fremen spot is our play here. We don't want to commit anything on top of what we have. And that's it. That play can make sense, hoping maybe to just get the last little shipping track trigger out of his reveal rather than wasting an agent turn on it, which I can understand. What does this uncover? Flagship. Baron spent his spice. How did he? I mean, he will get again 3 spice out of it, out of the conflict I'm in, but what did he do exactly? He most likely used an intrigue card that asked him to pay some spice. Oh, the sleep must awaken. True, he's at 8 now. Yeah, it makes sense, just in case he's second in the conflict, I guess, to make sure he's not again overshooting his intrigue cards. Should I just make sure we have that point locked in the very unlikely event someone gets to 10 now? someone would probably have to be Baron. No, it seems not possible. He already revealed. No, I think it's fair enough to assume we can keep it for now. Nothing we're interested in here. So we just skip our reveal. And that is 2 Spice Must Flow for Helena. It seems we get second spot. And now let's see what Menmon does. I assume he hopefully gave up on getting that Freeman alliance from us and rather focuses on his memo corridor and that influence track progress he's missing. He does. So that is, I mean, I think the right thing to do as well, but good for us in the sense that we don't have, or we are not like forced into a move that would maybe not be ideal for us. Recruitment mission can help maybe for a Spice Must Flow if we get there this round. And that is one conflict we really want to commit to and to try and win it. Maybe we still want to actually go to Hardy Warriors technically, or do we want to use our water for a Great Flat? No, I don't think so. Anyways, Chomerky. Oh, actually, Great Flat would allow us to go to Hayliner, but we don't have enough troops in our reserve. Actually, we only have 3, so it's not that great of a play for us. But Baron might go there, so it's worth keeping in mind. Weirdly, he didn't send his Dreadnought in right now. Probably shows that he definitely still intends on visiting other conflict spaces. So I think indeed we will want to go to Hardy Warriors for a start. Because given we only had 3 troops in our reserve, Hayliner is not really worth the double agent play. And anyways, probably Baron will go before us. Can we still get to enough Solari for both our Signet ability and a potential endgame here? Would mean 17. Not really, right? I mean, can get 2 out of it if we get to Kartag with the Signet Ring, and that's it. I don't really see the point of going to interstellar shipping to trigger it. Because we kind of need to really focus on the conflict right now. So, are we actually willing to trigger the Signet Ring? I don't think so. Because, I mean, the increased influence is useless, to be fair. We're secured here, far from another alliance, and this one we have thanks to the favored subject. The spice, not that useful because anyways Baron has Chomerky. He seems to be the closest to potentially winning. And the troop, we basically have only one troop left in the garrison, so we're going for instance to Kartag, and we basically spent all our troops between garrison and conflict. So I think, I mean, yeah, we don't need that signet ability anymore. And I think we will first start by still going to Kartag, giving us a fourth intrigue card, but we can anyways play one that we already have here. So we definitely don't do the signet ability, but we send in troops. Can also do this actually. Maybe it brings us... Oh, that's a good one for the reveal. I like the added persuasion, and the daggers I don't mind neither. Also, given we have this, we can target another Spice Must Flow, but that would mean revealing early. That's another 3 troops for him, so he's at 16. Plus his restricted ordnance is at 20. And that would be game for him if he wins that conflict. Also because he's got that memo quarter, so he would get to 11 if he wins that conflict. So I kinda need to fight for it. Otherwise, it is not gonna work. I can only add another 2 troops in actually. It should be 19. And he's already at 20 just with his restricted ordnance. If I keep wielding, we at least have 2 daggers here, plus then I would potentially need to play War Chest. Because right now, as it stands, if I reveal, I get 1 point from Spice Must Flow and 1 point from War Chest. So I'm at 9, which is not good enough for sure. Oh, and funny situation where Menmon is threatening this alliance, but Baron is counteracting with threatening this alliance and getting it. So this is interesting, but he's got 8 cards, so for sure he's getting the Spice Must Flow this round. So he's getting a 10, and he's got that Chomer key and 4 intrigue cards. So let's hope it's not endgame related, but it might very well be. Fact that Arakin is open is quite good for me, because it would potentially allow me to get a bit more persuasion. It does. Actually, it's perfect. Both of them have 2 persuasion, so I don't have to use Weirding Way. I can use potentially Gene Manipulation, for instance. Puts me back to 8, 9 with this one. So I can buy a Spice Must Flow thanks to Arakin. Let's do this. Yes, no troops available. It's a shame, but it is how it is. It doesn't really matter anyways. Or do we have anything with the unload effect? No, thought so. And we deploy what we can. Just 2. Oh, I forgot actually, favorite subject will also give us a victory point. So as it stands, Spice Must Flow, War Chest, and favored subject gives us 3 points, so we should be at 10. What did he play? An intrigue card, was it? Oh no, flagship, of course. Yeah, he's probably winning that conflict. Seems very much like it, because here 4, 2 makes 6. I'm just in front, but... Ah no, that's... He hasn't revealed yet. He's got that tech. So no, I have no chance of winning that conflict. And Baron is at 10 here. I'll be at 10 as well. He's got Chomerky. So I kinda need to pray for a good endgame card in battle, I mean in my second spot reward here. Could something help us actually? Yeah, the corner of the market is the only one basically. This would only give us 1 point because... So let's play. So based on tiebreakers, we should win against Menman at least, unless he just picked a very lucky entry card, which we don't hope, obviously. But that should work. Helena, plans wouldn't work. Oh, the Kvisats. Corner of the market would give her 1 point. So we should beat Helena normally. And Baron, I don't see it. Unless we have a very good intrigue card. So hopefully we're second. Maybe we're third, depending on what Menman has. Very low chance of being first if we get a very lucky draw here with the intrigue card, but we can hope, but it's unlikely. Time for endgame. For sure the entry card and I mean the tiebreaker. Oh, that's useless. But let's hope Menmon didn't get a useful one. Plans within... Oh no. Yeah, plans within plans. Useless for Helena. That's ours. Brings us to 10. Oh, and the Grand Conspiracy on Baron's side, so... Oh, but he didn't have it. Crazy, so that Chomerky changed everything. Yeah, otherwise we would have won on Spice Ties. But yeah, I mean, that's how it is. Still, second place is not the worst. It gains us one little star in Platinum. Still a long way to go to Masters, but I hope to see you there on the way and continuing this journey with you. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to join as well on Sundays. I'm doing lives. Looking forward to seeing you there, and see you soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.